Well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watch2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I think this is one of the best times for New York sports in decades. There are many teams that have legitimate championship aspirations, and their fans are having the hope that this year or in the next few years, they might be able to have a championship. And let's be honest, with very few exceptions, most of these teams are very, very starved to be the best at the end of the season. Unless you're a Yankees, Giants, and I'll throw in the Devils as well, it's been decades. So it has been a very frustrating run, but a lot of these teams definitely have their hopes looking high. So I decided to do a little bit of an experiment. I thought, why not rank the 9 teams in the New York metropolitan area in the 4 major sports? So if there's any Liberty fans or the soccer fans watching, forgive me, I know NYCFC won recently. But I wanted to rank the 9 teams in hockey, baseball, basketball, and football from 9 to 1, from least likely to win a title, to win the next title for New York, to the most likely. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm not just doing this off random thought or personal bias. I am going to do this with a system. I looked at 5 categories and I ranked all the teams from 1 to 10. And the categories were ownership, front office, coaching, players. Now, with the players, I rank them from 1 to 10, but I put double the value on them because nothing's more important than having the best players. So with the players, it's not going to be a scale of 1 to 10. It's a scale of 2 to 20 points. And then future prospects, your young core, draft aspirations, things like that. Do you have things to add on? Or are you like more of a one-year wonder sort of situation? Is your window closing? So that's what I'm really looking at here. So let's get the list started, and bringing up the rear of our list, as it often does in this area, in this town, are the Brooklyn Nets. Let's break each component down. Joe Tsai, the owner, I gave him a 2. He's most worried about, bringing NBA regular season games into the nation of China. That's what he cares about. Sean Marks, the general manager, I gave him a 2 as well. He's made some bold moves. He's brought in superstars, but they did nothing. The combination of Durant, Harden, and Irving won 1 playoff series, and now he's trading off more assets. He's traded Mikal Bridges to the Knicks, and the number of coaches he's gone through, it's like 5 coaches, I think, at this point. Why does Sean Marks continually get to stay over and over and over again? He's turned the roster over constantly, turned the coaching over constantly, and it hasn't produced any results at all. I'm giving him a 2. Might be harsh, but that's all he gets. Jordy Fernandez, look, I don't know anybody who actually knows anything about this guy. I don't want to kill him too hard, but he's very much an unproven commodity. I gave him a 3. I thought that was actually being generous. As far as the players go, I would give them normally a 3, but since it's double value, it's actually a 6. Nets have some talent, but Ben Simmons, maybe their most talented player, he's never on the court. What he cares most about is what kind of suit he's wearing on the sideline and that the camera's right up in his mug. That's what he's worried about. Dennis Schrader, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Nick Claxton, just okay role players. That's all they are. But if you look at the overall league talent, I've got to put them less than average. So I'm giving them a 6. I'll scale 1 to 10 to 3. I double it to 6. Future prospects, though, I'm giving them a high mark. I'm giving them a 7. The Nets are going to have as many as 4 first-round picks this upcoming year. So that's one thing that Marks has done well, is acquire that draft capital. So, you know what? And maybe if some of these players work out, you can use some of those picks and use them to get a superstar someplace. But that's probably not going to happen for a little while. So when you do the math, you get a 2 for the owner, 2 for the GM, 3 for the coach, 6 for the players, 7 for the future prospects, 20 points out of 60. So not good at all. So in 8th place, the New York Islanders. All right, so now we go into hockey. We go with the owners, Scott Malkin and John Ledecky. I don't have that much to say one way or another about them. I gave them a 4. They're not embarrassing to the franchise like others have been in previous generations. And they seem to want to win, but I just don't know how committed they are or if they really know how to build a winner. So I think they're okay, but just okay. That's about it. The GM is Lou Lamoriello, one time the best in all of sports, the best GM in my mind in all of New York City. but he has not been bringing in talent. He brought in what, JP Pajot, Bo Horvat, guys like this. And even this past offseason, what have the Islanders done to really improve? What have they done? Nothing. They just kept some of the guys that they already had. But in this Metropolitan Division in the NHL, where you're dealing with the Rangers, the Devils, the Hurricanes, the Penguins who still have some talent, Capitals have a few good young players. Flyers were doing okay for a little bit. To me, what are the Islanders? The Islanders are a mediocre to sort of team. Yeah, they snuck in. They got a wild card spot last year, but and that's mostly because Ilya Sorokin's a very good player, but a very good goalie. But I just don't think they can maintain this. They don't have that great goal scorer. So to me, I gave the roster an 8. So 4 points doubled. I made it an 8. These guys are just okay. They need that elite goal scorer. And the fact that Artemi Panarin went to the Rangers, I think really changed the course of history. Now, as far as future prospects go, right in the middle, give it a 5. The next 2 years, they have all of their picks except the third rounder in 2026. So, decent farm system, nothing great, nothing terrible. So for the Islanders, got 25 points. That puts them in 8th place. Now, in 7th place, we go to football. It's the New York Football Giants. Okay, now here's what I've got for the Giants. Owner, 7. John Mara, very well respected, brings a certain level of class to the organization, willing to take action when things aren't going well, won't let the franchise be embarrassed. Doesn't mean that they won't have times when they struggle, but how many times are Giant fans in their level head? How many times can you really say, I'm ashamed to be a Giants fan? Not really. Not really. Okay, the general manager, Joe Shane, I gave him a 7. I like him. I like the aggressiveness of the trade for Brian Burns. I think he's bringing in some very good players in the draft, exciting players like Dexter Lawrence. Very good move as well. But you have to wonder about not addressing the quarterback yet. I know they tried to trade up to get Drake May. Wasn't going to work, so they got him. But the roster is just not that good. More on that in a moment. Head coach Brian Dable was named Coach of the Year 2 years ago. Last year, though, the team really slipped. I gave him a 6. Little better than average, but I think the jury is still out. The roster right now, I'm sorry, it stinks. If you go at ESPN's position rankings, where they rank every position from 1 to 32, with all 32 NFL teams, the Giants are ranked last overall. And you can see why. Yeah, there's some very good players, Burns, Lawrence, Thibodeau, guys like that. But your skill position players have really been diminished. Major questions at the quarterback. The secondary is a sieve. It's just absolutely brutal. I gave the Giants what would have been a 2, double the value. They get a 4. Okay, future prospects, I'm going to give them a 4 as well. Some young good players led by Malik Neighbors. But again, they got to get the quarterback thing straightened out. So you do the math on that. 7 for the owner, 7 for the general manager, 6 for the coach, 4 for the players, 4 for future prospects, 28 points. That's 7th place. 6th place, believe it or not, I am putting the New York Yankees at number 6. Now, why am I doing that? All right, I'll explain why. By the way, I put them at 36 points, so it's actually, this is where everything starts to get really, really tight. But I'm putting the Yankees a little bit lower for a few reasons. Let's talk about the owner. I gave him a 7. The Steinbrenners, Hal is not his father. How all in are the Yankees really willing to go? They paid for Garrett Cole. They paid for Aaron Judge. Will they pay for Juan Soto? Brian Cashman, I gave him a 6. He's been there since 1998, but he's made a few good moves, but he's made a lot of moves that have not worked, especially with this pitching staff. I think the Yankees pitching staff outside of Garrett Cole is really, really, really bad. Aaron Boone, I gave him a 3. I just don't think he's a very good manager. I think he's too much of a yes man, a company man. I think the cliches bother me, and I think the lack of accountability with guys like Gleyber Torres, not willing to call him out or bench him at times. I just have a very serious problem with that. I just don't believe in Boone as a manager. Now, the players, I gave them a 16, 8 times 2, because they have Judge, they have Soto, they have Cole. That's a heck of a core to work with. Of course, Soto not here under contract past this season. But past that, what have you really got? DJ LeMahieu is on his last legs. Anthony Volpe, you have a lot of questions. Gleyber Torres plays like he has stones in his head most of the time. Giancarlo Stanton, great slugger when he's actually on the field. Outside of that, that's about it with the staff. And the bullpen, pretty mixed. But, Clay Holmes, you can't really trust him as a closer. 10 blown saves this year. But certain talent is so elite that I'm willing to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. And as far as the farm system goes with the future prospects, they're currently ranked 18th in baseball. Rankings just came out this past week. They have only one top 100 prospect in Jason Dominguez. So to me, even though the American League is not very good right now, I just don't feel very confident in the Yankees. They'll be in the mix, but do I have confidence they could go on a run in October? I don't. I've got them in sixth place with 36 points. Now, the next two teams are both tied at 38 points for fourth and fifth place. And when there was a tie, I went with the player value to break the tie. So in fifth place with 38 points, I've got the New York Mets. As a matter of fact, I think I need to change the background right there so it feels a little bit more Met-esque there. There we go. So with the Mets, I gave the owner a 9 because Steve Cohen is willing to invest. He wants to win. They already have the highest payroll. And this coming off season, they will be going after Juan Soto. No question in my mind. David Stearns, the vice president of baseball operations, but we'll say the front office, I gave him a 6. He's made some very, very shrewd moves for some under-the-radar players. Some things have not worked out. Some things have. The jury is definitely out, but I do feel pretty good in future direction with David Stearns, but he's got to make some big moves that work out for me to give him a higher grade for right now. For the manager, Carlos Mendoza, I like him a lot. I gave him a 7. I like his honesty, his toughness, his ability to communicate. You don't get a bunch of cliches. I think he's willing to be very honest with his players, with the media. Of course, there have been rookie mistakes, but that is always going to happen. But I feel very good. With the players, I would have given them a 5. It's doubled to a 10. I think for the most part, it's kind of in the middle of the road talent. You have a core with Francisco Lindor, who's great. Brandon Nimmo, very inconsistent, even though I love him as a person. Pete Alonso, very good slugger, having a down year. There's other guys like, Mark Vientos, Francisco Alvarez, who look like they will be part of the future. But then with the pitching staff, you have a lot of guys under one-year contracts. Quintana, Manaea, Severino. You have Edwin Diaz in as the closer. So to me, you have some things that are very good, but you have some big question marks. So I gave the Mets a very middle-of-the-road grade for their pitching. Now for the future prospects, they have the 13th ranked prospect system, 4 top 100 prospects. So I gave them a 6. They're a little bit better than the average. So we add that up, 9 for the owner, 6 for the GM, 7 for the coach, 10 for the players, and 6 for future prospects. 38 points for the New York Mets. All right. Now tied with them, but getting the tiebreaker at number 4 with 38 points as well will be the New York Rangers. Yep, I've got the Rangers at number 4. So I gave the owner a 5. Jim Dolan, I know a lot of people don't like him, but to me, Jim Dolan, for the most part, stays out of the hockey business. So I'm going to give him an average grade until it's time to fire the general manager and the president of hockey operations, but that's another story. Number 6 for the GM, I gave Chris Drury a 6 in this case. So he's done some things very well, some things badly. The trade deadline this year was terrible. He had a very good one 2 years ago when he brought in Frank Vetrano and Andrew Kopp and Tyler Mott, Justin Braun, guys like that. He's kept most of this core in place with Zibanejad, with Kreider, Adam Fox, Vinny Trocheck. Panarin's still here for another 2 years. Needs to keep Igor Shesterkin, though. And he signed Igor. I might have given him an 8 at this point, but I got to go with a 6 for right now. Now, with the coach, I'm giving Peter Laviolette a 7. Been with the Rangers 1 year, took him to the Eastern Conference Finals, had the best record in the National Hockey League, and I think the ending of the season was just so bitter, it's easy to forget how good the regular season was. So I'm going to give him a 7. For the players, I would have given them an 8. It's going to be doubled to a 16. Mika, Panarin, Vinny, Lafreniere, Hedl, Kreider, Fox, Schneider, Igor Shesterkin. You have a very, very good core, even though some of it is aging. So I feel very good about the core. Certain pieces are needed here and there. They may not be a Stanley Cup team right now, maybe not, but they're certainly a playoff team, and all you got to do is get in the tournament and get hot sometimes. I do feel the team needs a little bit more grit, but you could get that for cheap at the trade deadline. And as far as future prospects goes, I gave them a 4. They still need to lock up Lafreniere, Keandre Miller, Alexei Lafreniere as well. With their draft picks, they have no second or fourth round picks for the next 3 years. They do have all their firsts, but they have given up a lot of mid-round draft capital in an attempt to win the Stanley Cup, which has not yet worked out. So Rangers and Mets finished tied, but because the Rangers, I gave them a better player score, they are number 4. Now, my second and third place teams are tied as well. My third place team with 40 points, so just ahead of the Rangers and the Mets. 40 points is the New Jersey Devils. All right, so I gave the Devils a 6 for their owners, Josh Harris and David Blitzer. Not much good or bad, but they're willing to spend. They're willing to open up their purse strings a little bit with the salary cap. So can't really call them great or bad, but I think they've been a positive thing for the franchise. General manager is Tom Fitzgerald. Very good drafting. Made some smart signings. Brought in some toughness. Added the goalie and Jacob Markstrom, which they absolutely needed to do. Added some toughness with Brett Pesce and Brendan Dillon on defense. Stefan Nason, good defensive forward. I think he saw the holes on this team, and he really went to work in patching them up. So I gave him a 7. Coach Sheldon Keefe, he's coming in from Toronto, going into year 1. I gave him a 4. He didn't do much with a great Toronto team. I don't know what he's going to do with New Jersey, but I got to rate him a little bit below average. Player talent, I gave them a 16 as well. Same thing as I gave the Rangers, ironically. But led by Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, great young talent there. And Dougie Hamilton will be back on defense. Big add for them too. And, many other good players as well. Good mix of veterans and youth. But those two centers are definitely the backbone of it. All right. And as far as future prospects goes, they do have a few very top-level young players, as we just mentioned. No first-round pick next year, but 3 second-rounders. I gave them a 7 for future prospects. So for the owner, 6 points. General manager, 7. Coach, 4. Players, 16. Future prospects, 7. That gives the Devils 40 points. Tied for second, but I gave them the 3rd spot overall. And the reason why I gave them the 3rd spot is because tied with them are the New York Jets. That's right. I got the Jets ranked number 2 on this list. For the owner, I ranked Woody Johnson a 4. He's not going to inspire you. The meddling worries you a little bit, but he's definitely willing to spend, and he definitely wants to win. So I rated him a little bit below average. For the general manager, Joe Douglas, I gave him a 7. Okay, not a good record in free agency. DJ Reed's worked out great. Most of the other ones you could say have been questionable to bad, but he's been very, very good with most of his trades. Look at the trades where he traded away Sam Darnold, Chris Herndon, Jamal Adams, to say the least. He has gotten so much. He has built this team's core from those trades primarily. Even the Leonard Williams trade, the Jets got Michael Carter II in the Leonard Williams trade, along with Ashton Davis. That's one most people don't even think about. How about that? Drafting has gotten better over the years. There was some early busts. The first draft class, we got to admit, was mostly a washout. But it's gotten better and better over the last couple of years, and this 2024 class looks excellent. Excellent, and the 2022 may go down as either the best or second best draft in Jets history. With the coaching, lots of questions with Robert Saleh. I gave this a 4. Jeff Ulbrich is a very good defensive coordinator. Paul Hackett's I may as well call him Paul, but Nathaniel Hackett is basically Aaron Rodgers' coffee boy. Brant Boyer, very good special teams coach, but Robert Saleh has to prove he is a big-time coach. He has not proved he is not a big-time coach yet. He hasn't had the opportunity to prove that he can't do it, because now he's finally going to have a quarterback we all pray. Okay, so I'm going to give them a little bit below average because I think the coaches around Saleh, especially on defense and special teams, are really, really good. Player talent, I'm going with an 18. Out of 1 to 10, I give them a 9, and I double it. If you look at ESPN, they ranked all 32 teams on player talent 1 to 32. The Jets finished second only to San Francisco. You've got one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, maybe the best running back and wide receiver in the game, a top 5 offensive line, an elite pass rush, certainly maybe the best defensive tackle in the game, maybe the best 1-2 linebacking unit in the game, top 5 for sure, and the best secondary in the game as well. You're loaded, and an excellent kicker also. I'll throw that in too. Why not? And Thomas Hennessy with the long snaps. All right, I'll start with the long snapper. But I think the Jets have one of the best rosters in football, absolute top 5, probably even top 3. That's how good I feel about it. So I'm giving them an 18. Future prospects, I'm going to give them an 8. Now, they've got most of their draft spots. They have an extra 3 and 6 next year. They're giving up an extra pick in the Hassan Reddick trade in 2026. And the core is great. It's just that the quarterback is aging, right? Even make that one a little bit higher. But you have elite level talent on cheap contracts right now. How good is that? So 4 for the owner, 7 for the general manager, 4 for the coaching, 18 for the players, and 8 for the future prospects. I give the Jets a score of 40, tied with the Devils, but the Jets get the slight edge on players, so they are my number 2 on this list. And then finally, number 1. We go back to the NBA. Number 1 for me is the New York Knicks with 48 points, beating the field by a wide margin. The owner, Jim Dolan, I gave him a 5. A few years ago, it would have been a 1. But he finally hired the right people and let them do their freaking jobs. Leon Rose has wheeled and dealed brilliantly, signing good contract. The OG Anunoby one is a big contract, granted. But for a while, up until this year, no Nick, I think, was in the top 30 in highest salaries. Randall and Brunson were all outside that. But he convinced Brunson to take a great contract that's team-friendly. He's put so many good players around him. The drafting has gotten better and better. He has been brilliant. I gave Leon Rose a 9. A 9. Head coach Tom Thibodeau, I give him an 8. You know, he may be an unpopular coach for amongst the players who don't play for him. I don't care. I just care that the players who are wearing the orange and blue are going to bust it for them and play defense and go hard for them, and they do that. I love Tibbs. I'm glad he got extended. Players, I'm going a perfect 10. Only team I'm giving a perfect 10 to, 20 points for the players. Jalen Brunson, a top point guard in the league. And it's not that the Knicks have the greatest players in the league. I'm not saying that, but they fit together so well. Hart, DiVincenzo, Anunoby, Bridges. It's going to be something else. The only hesitation I had is the depth at center. If they had kept Hartenstein, oh my God, absolutely would have been a 10, but I'm still willing to go that far. Even if you gave it a 9, they're still number 1 on the list. Okay, but I just think they are that good when they're together, and I can't wait to see. Throw in Tyler Kolek as backup point guard. He's going to become a fan favorite. I got all the confidence in him. Future prospects, I only gave them a 6, so a 3 doubled to a 6. You have 2 protected first-round picks next year, 1 in 2026, but after that, no first-round picks till 2030. So the Knicks have traded a lot away. In their next 5 years, they only own one of their own 5 first-rounders because those 2 protected picks are from other teams. So the future prospects I put a little bit lower, but still super encouraging where it is. 6 out of 10. All right, so I gave the Knicks a 5 on the owner, 9 on the general manager, 8 on the coach, 20 on the players, and a 6 for the future prospects. So the Knicks get 48 out of 60 points, and they are our winners. So I predict the Knicks are the most likely team to win a championship, at least next season. I know the Yankees can win one sooner. Even the Mets can, sort of. But I think the Knicks are the most likely team to do it. So let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who do you think is the next New York team to win a championship? Put it down there in the comments. Like the video. Please subscribe. I'm on the march to 1,000 subscribers, so I definitely appreciate that. And reminder, join me Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern for the Wednesday Night Live show. Everybody, thanks so much for watching this video, for sticking this out for 25 minutes, and I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.